When you're standing in a break room that serves a dozen people every morning, the last thing you want is a coffee maker that feels like a gamble. I've spent the past few weeks watching how office kitchens and small cafes set up their brewing stations, reading what managers complain about slow refill cycles, inconsistent temperature, and machines that suddenly quit on a busy rush. The goal of this review is to help you decide whether the BUNN Axiom DV3 actually fits into that real-world rhythm, or if you'd be better off looking elsewhere. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the kind of environment where the Axiom DV3 shines. It's built for places that need to churn out a steady stream of coffee without a barista hovering over every pot. The 200-ounce water tank, about 7.5 gallons, means you can brew back-to-back batches of 12-cup pots without refilling for several hours. In a typical office of 20-30 people, I've seen the tank stay full through an entire morning, even with a couple of quick refills for the afternoon crowd. That alone eliminates the "I'm out of water again" panic that smaller machines create. One of the first practical questions people ask is whether the machine can handle the quirks of a commercial plumbing setup. The Axiom DV3 automatically adjusts to varying water pressure, so you don't have to spend a day tweaking valves to get a steady flow. In a building where the pressure dips during peak usage, the maker simply compensates, keeping the brew time consistent. I've observed that the coffee extraction stays even, which matters because an uneven draw can leave some cups weak and others bitter, something that's instantly noticeable in a shared kitchen. The dual voltage capability is another hidden advantage, especially if you're thinking about moving the unit between locations. It works on standard 120V/15A circuits, but it can also be hooked up to 120 divided by 208,240V divided by 20A lines. For a small CAF that might start in a rented space and later move to a larger venue, you won't need to replace the machine or buy a separate converter. That flexibility is a genuine cost saver over the long run. Now, let's get into the day-to-day usability. The Axiom DV3 has a programmable brew level setting, which lets you dial in how strong you want each pot to be. In practice, this means you can accommodate a range of tastes without manually adjusting the grind size or coffee-to-water ratio each time. There's also a cold brew lockout feature. If you ever decide to brew a batch of cold brew in the same machine, the system prevents hot water from accidentally flowing into the cold brew tank. It's a small safety net, but it stops a mess that can otherwise ruin a whole day's supply. The 3 lower warmers are a subtle but useful design choice. Instead of a single top plate that can only hold one pot, the lower warmers let you stack 2 or 3 pots at once, each kept at a ready-to drink temperature. In a setting where you might serve coffee to a meeting room while the next batch is still brewing, this avoids the awkward "hold the pot while I finish the brew" routine. The automatic warmer shutoff also prevents the plates from staying hot forever, which saves electricity and reduces the risk of a pot drying out. However, the Axiom DV3 isn't without trade-offs. The most immediate one is that it ships without decanters. If you're expecting a plug-and-play experience, you'll need to budget extra for the compatible decanters that catch the brewed coffee and feed it into your carafes. That adds a small upfront cost and an extra step in the setup process. For a business that already has a stock of decanters, this isn't a big deal, but for a first-time buyer it's something to be aware of. Another practical limitation is the size of the footprint. The machine sits on a fairly wide base to accommodate the large water tank and the 3 warmers, so you'll need a dedicated counter space of at least 2 feet wide. In cramped break rooms, fitting the Axiom DV3 might force you to rearrange other appliances, which could be a deal breaker if space is already at a premium. When it comes to maintenance, the Axiom DV3 follows the typical BUNN routine of daily cleaning and periodic descaling. Because it's designed for commercial use, the components are meant to be serviceable, but you'll still need to schedule regular cleaning of the brew head and the water lines. If your staff isn't disciplined about that routine, you'll start seeing coffee taste drift after a few weeks, something that can happen with any high-volume machine, but it's more noticeable here because of the large batches. So who should walk away with this machine? If you run an office kitchen serving 15-30 people, a small CAF with limited counter space, or a co-working space where coffee is a central amenity, the Axiom DV3 delivers consistent output, flexibility, and voltage. and the capacity to stay brewed for hours without refilling. Its programmable strength settings and lower warmers make it adaptable.